Super Saturday on BTN is presented by LG Signature, the art of essence. And brought to you in part by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. Closing in on tip-off in New York City between Wisconsin and Rutgers. Let's check out our Buffalo Wild Wings starting lineups with Madison Square Garden buzzing right now, Wisconsin and Rutgers. Before we get to the lineups, we'll check in with Rick Pizzo.
Well, Steve, you want the guys to enjoy the environment, but also to focus on the task at hand. How do they do both?
You know, it's a great day here in New York. We're excited, playing a great team, and obviously well coached, got great players. We're going to be up for the challenge, hopefully, and it'll be a fun day.
Greg, this environment so similar to an NCAA tournament first and second round game. How can it help you guys as you move forward through the season?
Well, I think our experience hopefully helps us today. And obviously, Steve's got his team playing hard and doing good things and trending in the right direction. So we're looking forward to, obviously, a great venue. Hopefully, we can play hard and play well.
Gentlemen, we appreciate the time. Wish you both the best of luck. Kevin?
All right, Rick, thank you very much. Our Buffalo Wild Wings starting lineups. Deshaun Freeman for Rutgers, 8 double-doubles this season. Zach Showalter had 18 in the first meeting against Rutgers this year for Wisconsin, a game the Badgers won by 20 points. Ready to get this one started at Madison Square Garden. Ethan Happ going to work against Deshaun Freeman. And the tip controlled by Rutgers, and here we go.
This possession is a huge possession for Rutgers. I know it's one of many to come, but you want to show that you can execute in the half court and keep yourself in this game early.
C.J. Geddes in the post. Geddes turning against Ethan Happ. Can't get that to go, and it's saved in play by Vito Brown. Here's Nigel Hayes, first touch for the All-American. $17 to shoot for Koenig and Happ. Wisconsin 17-3, 6-1 in league play. Hayes back it inside, ball batted away and taken away. Nigel Johnson on the run. Numbers for Rutgers. The bounce to Sanders in the reverse gives the Scarlet Knights the early lead.
We talked about that in the open, getting out and taking advantage of offensive opportunities in transition. Well, good defense that leads to an easy bucket certainly helps.
Here's Ethan Happ. Do a little bit of everything. We'll see a little bit of everything from him today as he works inside and draws the foul on C.J. Geddes.
And you understand that this Wisconsin team will look to get the ball inside, and great length from Freeman, and then getting out and running, capitalizing on transition opportunities. That was a 3-on-1. You're not going to get many of those against the Badgers.
In that first meeting, Rutgers' size was a big benefit for them. That's 17 offensive rebounds. Now, you're only getting offensive rebounds if you're not shooting well. But they were able to hit the glass, they were able to pound the boards, and they were actually able to do some work inside, which doesn't happen very often. Now they're going to be out a guy today. Jonathan Laurent is on the bench. You see him there. He's got a right foot injury, not available for Steve Pikiell's squad. He started 11 games at the beginning of this season.
One of the things we don't talk about enough is length. We talk about size. Oh, you got 7-footers. That's great. But having great length, especially in the guard position, really closes in passing lanes, makes it difficult to move the ball around.
There's Corey Sanders. Out to Johnson, toes the line for a three, and the rebound for Vito Brown. This is not a great shooting Rutgers team. They're still trying to find those guys who are going to be able to hit that shot from outside. Happ turning to the rim, and Happ able to put it in.
That was a spectacular play. He turns away, kind of uses a ball pass fake, and then has a wide open lane to the basket. Uses his body well against big C.J. Geddes at the basket.
And there's Happ with a steal. Like I said, he can do it all. Happ to the other end, hammered, and he'll go to the line.
Ethan Happ just fills up the stat sheet. He does it by passing the basketball. He does it by scoring. He does it by getting steals. And this is just part of his game. The look away and then get to the basket finish. And then getting his hand in passing lanes. Get himself a chance to get to the foul line early in this game. Find a little rhythm from the charity stripe.
Happ 3 for 3 at the line. It's a good start for a guy who, if there's a weakness in his game, it's probably right here.
If you want to go glass half empty, yeah, that's the case. But when you look at what he does in terms of what's on the surface, the stats, he does everything really well. If you look at the intangibles, he does that even better.
That's what I'm saying. You got to really dig in to find a weakness because the guy does everything.
Well, people said that last year where they say, well, he's not Frank Kaminsky because he doesn't shoot that well. I said, well, neither did Frank when he was a freshman.
Yeah, Hap shooting 60% from the floor.
Yeah, take it.
Yeah. 6-0 burst for Wisconsin. Omoruyi inside, and it's blocked by Vito Brown.
That's just another reminder of how difficult it's going to be to score in the half court against the Badgers.
Brown thought about the three. Deshaun Freeman out there to snuff out that hope. Koenig now. Nigel Hayes on the attack, and Hayes draws the contact and the foul. Stop me if you've heard this before. Nigel Hayes drawing contact and getting himself, at least later on in this half, an opportunity to the line.
That's like hearing another tie-up in like a third-grade basketball game. Another jump ball.
Or a turnover. Dribbled off their foot. Quick three for Koenig, not going to go. Hayes punching it into the backcourt, and that's going to be tracked down by Vito Brown.
Bronson Koenig didn't make the shot because it's not within the last 5 minutes of the game. Doesn't really matter yet.
Hayes with the three. We've not seen that as much of late from Nigel Hayes over the last 14 games. His game's been inside the three-point arc more than it was to start the season.
So much last year was made about him changing his shot and trying to get himself to a point where he can play the three at the NBA level. Well, this year, what I've seen from him is just taking the role that you need to play to make your team the best. And I think he's deferred at times. He's been the facilitator at other times. And this team is so much better because of it.
Omoruyi moving it around to the top. Here's Geddes. Got that early foul, now going to work against Hap. Geddes with the hook. Good work inside by the big man.
You know, that does two things. First and foremost, it gets you 2 points. Secondly, you're making Ethan Hap work. And if you think leaning against the body of C.J. Geddes is not work, you're out of your mind.
The three in the corner, halfway down, pops up. Sanders able to corral the rebound. Sanders in the open floor, looking to push. Freeman against Brown. Found Geddes, and an easy two for Geddes on a great look to tie it at 6.
It's a great feed from Freeman, who actually got the double, and double came just a second too late. He was able to find Geddes for an open layup.
Showalter on the attack, and an offensive foul.
Got to be happy if you're Rutgers with the start. You're competing, you're fighting, you're doing the good job on defense, but also on the offensive end. Good movement gets you open shots. Split the double, find Geddes. Just too easy.
Back in New York City, a 6-6 ball game. 15:59 remaining in the first half with John Crispin. I'm Kevin Kugel. Great to have you with us from Madison Square Garden on Super Saturday. There's still plenty of hoops on BTN this weekend. Following our game, it's Minnesota and Maryland, followed by Illinois, Penn State, and then tomorrow it tips off at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Purdue squares off with Nebraska. Indiana takes on Northwestern. Coverage rolls on after our game on BTN and streaming live on BTN to go. And when you look at these standings, you get the idea that the games on BTN this weekend, they mean a lot. This is a big, big weekend on BTN.
I mean, look, every game really actually matters at this point. I mean, you look at the middle of the pack, and 1 or 2 games puts you into that top 5. You certainly have to take every team seriously this year.
Long way to go in this race in the conference, but it's off to a great start. Speaking of off to a start, Ethan Hap is off to a start at Madison Square Garden. Hap laying it in. He's got all 8 Wisconsin points.
At some point, you have to realize that Ethan Hap takes ball reversals away. He anticipates better than anybody else on the floor, so you got to be careful, even throwing that pass.
Jordan Hill, Khalil Iverson on the floor right now for Wisconsin. Sanders on the drive against Hill. Makes that one home.
And that's what he can do. I mean, he's got a physical game where he can put his body into you, he can elevate, still get a shot off, and not to compare him to Allen Iverson, but he keeps his eyes up on the rim very well.
Khalil Iverson inside Geddes, able to pluck that one.
Good segue, Kevin. That's what I'm here for.
Segueing from your comments.
Easy!
Geddes with the screen, a handoff to Johnson, still 15 to shoot. Marie enters it inside. Geddes working against the smaller Iverson. Geddes able to get it back with 5 to shoot. Freeman has to launch. The tip up and in by Omoruyi.
And that's what you need if you're Rutgers. You need activity on the offensive glass. As you said, not the best shooting team, especially outside of 10 to 15 feet. So you've got to send guys to the glass, especially from the guard position. Johnson almost coming up with a steal.
Nigel Hayes there to save it for Wisconsin. Steve Michael has instituted hard defending team and a hard rebounding team. You're seeing a little of that defense early. And that rebound a moment ago got him 2 points. The deep three for Hill is good with 2 to shoot. Jordan Hill hits the deep three.
And that can take a lot of energy, a lot of wind out of your sails if you're Rutgers. You played a good defensive possession, but at the same time, that's the type of shot you have to live with. You just can't give even half an easy opportunity at the basket. Force Wisconsin to make deep threes, especially in late shot clock situations.
And Freeman with the foul on the screen.
You watch Wisconsin after this ball goes in, they kind of look at each other saying, yo, Nigel Hayes is sitting there saying, hey, who's got him? Let's put a body on him. And this is the type of shot, the great contest from Corey Sanders. You can live with that shot. I know it sounds weird if you're a Rutgers fan, but you have to be able to live with that shot. Just hope he misses.
So now, a little bit of pressure applied by Rutgers. Talking with Steve Michael earlier, said, yeah, we're going to try to junk it up a little bit. We're going to mix defenses. We're going to put a little full court on.
And the reason why you do that, you want to take Wisconsin out of what they want to do is try steps into a three, not really in rhythm. You want to take them out of what they want to do offensively. Take the rhythm out of the game. Take a pass or two away and make it work.
Nigel Hayes handing off to Jordan Hill. A little strong on that one. Offensive rebound, Vito Brown. Another opportunity for Wisconsin here. Brown will try. He can't hit, and there's Sanders with the rebound. Just 3 rebounds per game does Corey Sanders. So at the beginning of the broadcast, the numbers up over the last few games for Sanders from a scoring standpoint.
That's understandable with a new coach, new system, a little more accountability too. I think he's really been held accountable for his play, and he's responded very well.
He didn't start the last time these two teams played. Williams missing inside, and the rebound out of bounds to Rutgers. He had missed his flight back from the holidays, did not start that game. When he came on the floor, he only scored 4 points, 1 for 11 shooting in that one. Well, he's obviously off to a better start today than he was in that ball game.
And if you ask Steve Michael, it's because he's bought into being a better defender. The better defender you are, sometimes the more offense you find. No presence of mind. Steve Michael's not happy about that one.
Speaking of presence of mind, the shot clock winding down. And now Showalter returns and comes back in. Nigel Hayes will get his first breather of the ball game. 4th Rutgers turnover. And that's something that'll cost you against Wisconsin if you have that number too high.
Well, look, you can have aggressive turnovers and you can live with that, but then there are careless turnovers like a shot clock violation where you don't even get a shot at the rim. You can't live with those.
Brown trying to find some movement inside, tipped and taken away. The tip by Issa Chop. Williams on the drive to the rim. Can't get that one to go. Now Happ the rebound. Look at Happ going end to end. Oh, what a spin! Happ to the rim!
So much has been made about his footwork, but what good is footwork if you don't have good ball handling skills? He took that the length of the floor, a little spin dribble. Just a sweet, sweet finish.
He's got 10 already. And what a tough shot for Corey Sanders. And he gets it to fall.
I think you're going to say that a lot today. What a tough shot for Corey Sanders. He's not going to get anything easy, but he's a tough shot maker.
He's got 6 already, outscoring his game in the first meeting between these two. Poked out of bounds by Jallo. And a timeout on the floor, 13-12 lead for Wisconsin.
I mean, what you didn't see was he went the length of the floor. Great footwork, yes, but ball skills even better. And he's got that to his game. And Corey Sanders, he's going to be the guy that keeps him in this game.
Jim Delaney, the Big Ten Conference Commissioner. You'd expect him here for a big day like this on Super Saturday. Barry Alvarez, not a surprise to see the athletic director of Wisconsin here. We had a chance to chat with him before the game. He was in awfully good humor. And for Rutgers, an opportunity for their alums to get in and hang out, see the team. Former NBA Commissioner David Stern in the building as well.
That was one I didn't know. I did not know he was a Rutgers grad. You might want to capitalize on that one. That's a good resource to have.
That's one of the benefits of having the game at Madison Square Garden. It's always easier for those folks who live in the city to get down to MSG as opposed to get out to the rack, although it's really not that big a deal to get out to the rack either. Is Koenig with the foul. As Nigel Johnson was able to get the steal. Rutgers athletic director Patrick Hobbs on hand as well. checking out this one. He's nodding his head as if he's listening to us say that he's here.
I thought he had some song in his head or something.
Maybe he did.
I do that every now and then. I like to think I walk around the city with like a soundtrack playing. It's kind of narcissistic, but it's all right.
But it's, yeah. What's narcissistic is that you publish your soundtrack daily. We got a whistle and a foul away from the ball going against Rutgers.
How many of those foul calls have you seen this year on illegal screens?
Tons.
And I know it's something they're trying to clean up. And at some point, you have to learn what's being called and stop fouling. And I don't care whether you like it or you don't like it. I don't particularly like that every whistle's blown, but at the same time, that's the way it's being called, so you have to make adjustments. And those possessions will hurt you if you're Rutgers. That's an easy defensive possession for Wisconsin if you give the ball right back 5 seconds in.
Foul on Chala. There's half inside. 9 to shoot. Showalter. 6 for Hayes. From the elbow. Can't get it to go. Chala with a rebound. Mitchell Johnson. Rutgers 50% from the floor. Knocked away. Half dives for it. Gets it. 3-on-1 if they hurry. Hayes to nowhere to Showalter.
Such a weapon, Kevin. It's such a weapon. First and foremost, you got Ethan Happ diving on the floor to pick up another one. But then Nigel Hayes leading the break with 2 guards running the wings. Not a bad thing to have.
The 3 for Johnson. Ties it at 15.
The way you're watching this game, you see Wisconsin kind of get some methodical plays, some easy baskets. Rutgers is hitting tough shot after tough shot. Key is keep this thing close. Stay within striking distance. So far, so good for the Scarlet Knights.
Rutgers shooting 54% from the floor to start this game. Down the baseline. Can't get it to go. Good rebound inside by Chom.
So you got to be careful there. You can't gamble over the top and allow Ethan Happ to get to the basket. He's got to just stay back. Force the catch out from where you want him to catch it. And then wall up, play defense.
First miss for Happ. Nito Saab trying to back down Nigel Hayes, and he slipped into traffic.
He pulled the chair on him.
Well, tonight, BTN Super Saturday moves to hockey right here. It's Ohio State and Wisconsin, and Big Ten hockey pregame coverage starts at 6:30 Eastern on BTN and BTN to go.
How about Big Ten hockey? For real with Penn State. I know I went there and I got a little up in Penn State, but how do you go from not even being a Division I program to within a few years you're #1 in the country?
Koenig tries the 3, can't get it to go. And tonight we'll get the chance to see this arena transformed into a hockey arena for Big Ten hockey tonight. Kind of the cool thing about Super Saturday. And what do you expect, Rick Pizzo, from tonight's hockey?
Really good. 2 teams that love to play offensive hockey. They will get after it. They played a 3-1 game on Thursday night. I think we see a lot more offense here on Saturday. A great environment for the kids, just like basketball, something they'll be talking about forever.
Good work inside by C.J. Gettys. 6 points and 3 rebounds.
Yeah,
early for Gettys.
Having a tough time gauging the crowd because everybody's wearing red on both sides. But so far, I just heard a lot of Rutgers people pop up, come to life, taking a 2-point lead.
With a crossover and Gettys with the foul, and that'll be his second.
Gettys is playing with great energy, and that's exactly what you need. Look, you got depth at the big position, on the front line position, so you might as well come in and give good, great effort. Gettys did just that. Good, great effort. It's early, man. We usually call games at 7.
Maybe it elevated in the middle of the effort. It was good effort, and then it went to great effort.
The good effort was running the floor. The great effort was getting a rebound. Somehow it makes sense.
They gave the foul, by the way, to Freeman, not to Gettys. So a break from the standpoint of Gettys not being in foul trouble. But Freeman is, as we check in with Rick Pizzo once more.
Kevin, you just saw it there. Ethan Happ's won a slight downside free throw shooting, as we mentioned earlier. Team believes he puts too much arc on it. So this week, extra practice on Thursday with a machine they call the Noah. Yes, as in Noah's Ark. It measures the arc of shots. They're trying to get him to take a shallower approach to the basket and hope that each free throw trip ends up, if you will, 2 by 2.
Wow.
Oh,
Very
like,
nice.
oh
I see
my
what you did there.
gosh. I can't. You know what? I'm leaving. Rick, if you want to come take my spot, I can't keep up with that.
He's 5 of
He
6
did
at the line,
Noah,
so they didn't go 2 by 2.
2 by 2. That was so good. Yeah.
Rutgers ball. The basket counts. There was a lane violation. That's why the delay.
It seemed like they blew the whistle before the shot, though. I want to say about foul shooting, so much of it's mental. And I almost feel like the more gimmicky you get, the more mental you make it. I think you just got to simplify it. Simplify it, practice, and if you shoot with an imperfection, then perfect the imperfection. Sounds easy.
Perfect the imperfection. Good, great effort. Look, getting a whole list of Crispin-isms today.
Tim Hardaway had a side spin to his shot, but the guy shot it well from 3. What did he do? He perfected the imperfection with repetition, repetition, repetition.
Charles Thomas with the foul a moment ago, just off the Wisconsin bench. Geddes will go right back at him. Ball tipped away and taken away. Showalter able to cradle it. 8th Rutgers turnover in this first half.
Hard to believe because they held a 1-point lead.
Well, you would think 8 turnovers would really be costly, but Wisconsin shooting just 31% from the floor,
especially against Wisconsin.
6 to shoot for Koenig and the Badgers. Koenig, deep 2, a little strong, rebound tip to Sanders. Remaining in this first half, a 1-point Rutgers lead. Rutgers shooting it well, 8 of 16 from the floor, but a travel, the 9th turnover for the Scarlet Knights, and a timeout on the floor. Corey Sanders and Steve Pikiell's Scarlet Knights off to an excellent start at Madison Square Garden, but the hard-fighting Badgers just 1 point down in New York City. Super Saturday on BTN is brought to you in part by Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Find your agent at autoowners.com. And in partnership with Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Push button, get mortgage. Back in New York City, Badgers down by 1 despite that young man's sign. Trying to cheer them on. Put a lot of work into that, so we have to get it on TV. Thierry Henry, Team France, 1998 World Cup winner. He's on hand here today. Check it out, Super Saturday.
If you didn't know his name, how would you have read that?
Exactly as I did, because he's from Team France. You got to add.
That's right. That's right. You're right. Thierry Henry.
I would not have gone with Thierry.
So Jersey.
Badgers not been able to take advantage of those 9 Rutgers turnovers. Only 6 points off turnovers. Showalter. That one partially blocked inside, and that one unable to go in. Good work down low by Rutgers. Good work on the perimeter.
They're really just flocking to the ball. I think they're contesting 3-point shots at the level of the ball. They're not just running out and fake contesting. They're really contesting every shot. Nothing easy at the rim either.
Sanders can't get the roll. Rebound ripped down by Iverson. 6.5 remaining in this first half.
Wisconsin's at their best when they really look to make something happen on the offensive end, and especially a guy like Nigel Hayes. I think he can get fouled every time down floor. I honestly think if you just cleared out and let him go, he'd get fouled every single time down floor. Him and Ethan Happ. Just might rather have Nigel Hayes at the foul line than Ethan Happ.
Second on Omoruyi, so 2 on Omoruyi, 2 on Freeman. Foul trouble starting to mount a little bit for Rutgers. Nigel Hayes, who's 5th in the league in attempts, going to the line for a pair. And why has Wisconsin seen this surge where they've gone 13-1 over their last 14 games? Well, those numbers would certainly indicate that's been a big help.
Yeah, obviously so, but I also think he's done a lot of intangible things, and that's what you need to see from your leader. You need to see your leader diving on the floor, getting back on defense, communicating more, and not just being the go-to guy scoring. I think he's facilitated very well, which gives you even more confidence being on the floor.
Those attempts big at the free throw line. Really has been a concerted effort to bring his game inside. You saw the 3-point attempts down, the free throw attempts way up.
Well, it's also important to note, when you get to the foul line so often, you just take all the rhythm out of the game for your opponent.
Sanders on the drive. Can't get that banker to fall. Showalter the rebound.
His foul shots don't need to run it. His threes do.
Hayes to work against Freeman, who's back out there with those 2 fouls. So Showalter poked away inside. It'll belong to Rutgers.
Really have to say, you have to credit Steve Peichel and his staff for what they've done in terms of getting these young guys to buy into playing defense and understanding the principles of a good man-to-man defense. That possession, you saw every single guy for Rutgers in position, helping, communicating. One of the things they did in warm-ups was a communication drill, just learning how to talk to one another.
9 turnovers for Rutgers, 6 for Wisconsin, but just a 1-point game. 6 to shoot. Johnson trying to find a look, picked up by Hayes on the switch. 2 on the shot clock. Johnson inside, and that's a shot clock violation. Excellent defense from the Big Ten's best defensive team, the Wisconsin Badgers.
Wisconsin doesn't switch a lot, but that time it was a situational switch. Sometimes there are no absolutes, and in this case, situational switch. Got Nigel Johnson on Nigel Hayes, and Nigel Hayes did a great job sliding his feet, gapping just enough to contest that shot.
That defense allowing under 61 points per game, best of the Big Ten, which comes as no surprise when you see Wisconsin atop the Big Ten in scoring defense. They live there. Hayes, good pickup, kicks it out. The 3, a little bit strong, and Hayes able to get the rebound. Showalter with the tip.
And Showalter does a ton of things that you'll never see. You won't see it in the stat sheet, and half the time if you watch the game, you'll barely see it. But he's diving on the floor for loose balls. He's always helping to contest shots, attacking the offensive glass there, just tipping the ball to keep the thing alive.
First foul on Mike Williams, 8th on Rutgers as a team. Wisconsin, they don't foul a lot. They haven't today, just 3 fouls on the Badgers so far, and half back to the line. 1-1, he's 5 for 6 today. But missing the front end and out of bounds. It'll belong to Rutgers.
It's also important to point out, you talk about how good Wisconsin is on defense. Their offense helps them. Because of how they execute, because of how efficient they are on the offensive end, it allows them to get back, set up defense, and force you to win in a half-court game. It also makes you want to be a little more efficient as well on the offensive end.
Little shot by Jordan Hill. Foul call.
You think about it, if you play defense for 27 seconds and give up a layup or a 3, you're not exactly going to run down and chuck up the first shot. And if you do, get ready to play defense again.
The style of this first half, very similar to Rutgers' home game against Nebraska in that first half, where they ground out that first half. Had a lead at halftime of 10 as the foul comes on Johnson attempting the 3. Showalter commits the personal, and 3 free throws coming on Showalter's second foul.
I love what Deshaun Freeman did there. I mean, just the situational awareness to step out. Here you see him. There he is. Steps out and sets that screen. If it's not for that screen, Showalter doesn't pick up that foul. So good situational awareness. Not exactly a set play. He just did it. Something the Golden State Warriors do really well. Screen the backside of the offense.
3 points for Johnson, 2 fouls for Showalter. Rutgers back on top as Dimitri Trice comes in. Zach Showalter likely on the bench for the remainder of the half with those 2 fouls.
Zach Showalter's never made a mistake that has anything to do with lack of effort, right? Like, the mistake he made was almost too much effort right there. And I think in a way you got to live with some of that. I know he wants to be on the floor, but that kid gives you 100% of whatever he's got in the tank every single night out. We would usually call them glue guys, but I think it's such a knock to call a guy a glue guy when he does so much more than that.
There's Hayes. They kick into the corner. Koenig. Off day so far for Koenig, John. He's just 0 for 4 from the floor and 0 for 3 from 3.
Just hasn't been able to get it going. I'd like to see him get something to the basket. If you can get to the foul line, you find rhythm in your shot from the foul line. It's a comfortable shot. A guy like Bronson Koenig shoots it well.
Sanders attacking. Half there to block the road. Good clean play by Half, and a 2-point Rutgers leads with Wisconsin with the ball. Jallo on the entry pass to Happ. Timeout on the floor at Madison Square Garden with Rutgers leading by 2. John Crispin, have I got a deal on a bridge for you?
Oh, man.
What a start for Ethan Happ for Wisconsin.
Well, look, 11 points out of his team's 18, but I like the 3 steals. This guy's been incredibly active, and if he's able to get into open court, he's got great ball skills. He's got obviously great footwork. We've always talked about that. In a way, I think we've given Frank Kaminsky all the credit for his footwork.
Ethan Happ and the Badgers, though, down a pair. He's got 11 points. The rest of the team with just 7. And Ethan Happ certainly a candidate for Player of the Year, I would think. But wait a minute. These are John Crispin's Player of the Year candidates. I don't see Ethan Happ on there.
I think these are everybody's Player of the Year candidates. Nothing special here. No Ethan Happ. I think he's closely behind especially with Bronson Koenig. I mean, Bronson Koenig continues to hit big shot after big shot, much like a Melo Trimble at Maryland, where if you are able to keep yourself in the game, guys like Bronson Koenig, Melo Trimble will close the door.
Forward to Badger fans tweeting their angst at John Crispin.
Nigel Hayes in there. Nigel Hayes was our preseason Player of the Year. He didn't even want that award. He didn't even like it. He said it's a stupid award. I should have put him on the big team just for that.
Here's Sanders with 15 to shoot, working against Hill. Seven on the shot clock. Corey Sanders to work. Williams, the deep 3, and he hits. Biggest lead for Rutgers. They're up 5.
They've made big shots, and they haven't been easy shots. That's not an easy shot. Mike Williams is that kind of guy who can come out and give you 20, 25 points on any given night, so long as he gets the time and the looks.
Happ to work inside. Koenig looking to repost Happ, and it's taken away. Chom with a steal. Chom running the floor and throwing it down.
You got to make big shots. Mike Williams getting the driving kick, but then on the other side, great defense, and that's team defense. He's Chom getting out. Oh, about 105 pounds of him, throwing it down.
The freshman running the floor, and Rutgers enjoying its largest lead of 7. They have held the Badgers to 24% shooting from the floor. And Rutgers up by 7.
And it's all been great defense, but I think I look immediately at the coaching. These guys have really gotten these young players to buy into defense and switching things up here, going to the zone. Let's see how they respond.
Backing it out now. Koenig with 2 on the shot clock. Not going to go. And the rebound in the corner, out of bounds to Rutgers. Defense again for the Scarlet Knights.
Lisa Chom did the right job, which he acted as if he was going for the ball and just totally let it go. Understand he's probably going to run out of bounds with it.
0 for 5 so far for Koenig, who was red hot from 3 in conference play coming in. He's been cooled off here in MSG.
I'm sure they would give you the Aaron Rodgers and tell you to relax, because this is a guy who will turn it on at any given point.
Foul away from the ball, or a bit of clock situation. Nope, it's going to be a turnover back over to Wisconsin. Our State Farm halftime report coming up. Mike Hall, Mike DeCourcy, Jess Settles in the studio. Belong to the Badgers.
Steve Pike will give Lamont Simpson an earful.
Koenig can't connect. Chom trying for the rebound, and a foul underneath against the Badgers.
And the foul apparently was just kind of using the arms to check, and it's something that they're trying to clean up. I know Steve Peichel didn't like it because he feels his guys are getting impeded a bit as well.
First foul on Brown. 6th team foul on the Badgers. Rutgers trying to extend this lead before halftime. The bounce to Freeman. There's Sanders to work against Hill. Sanders inside. The double came, and the rebound inside by Pritzel. foul. It's going to go against Rutgers on the way up the floor.
It's a call that I've seen a lot this year where they use the two hands like it's a shove. And I guess that's one of the things they're really trying to clean up. That time, Vito Brown trying to run down the floor, get in position. He was met not just with a body, but with a couple forearms.
Jumps first, and the free throw good for Vito Brown. Five-point ball game, under a minute to go until halftime.
Can you believe that Rutgers is holding Wisconsin to 20 points at this point in the game? And you want to finish this half strong if you're Rutgers, because you don't want to go in giving up momentum, feeling as if you didn't do what you did here in the first half. Great high-low feed. Got to get that one to go. And I say you give up momentum, meaning Wisconsin comes down, gets a three or an and one. It's a two-point game. All of a sudden, you don't feel like you played that great of a half when they really did.
Second foul on Vito Brown. A couple of Badgers in foul trouble. Showalter and Brown, each with a pair.
Steve Peichel said, we've got to hold Wisconsin to 50 points or less if we want to have a really good chance to win this game. And obviously, so far, 20 points with 43.1 on the clock. Doing the job.
One more for Dorson at the line. 3 for 10 on the year. He has not had a lot of opportunities at the charity stripe, and that's been a real problem for Rutgers this year. Shooting free throws at 54% in league play.
This shot actually looks good, too. It just doesn't get it to go.
18 to shoot. In trouble in the corner. Gets rid of it to Brown. Brown, baseline. Got to the rim. No, and a foul is going to be called inside against the Badgers.
You just look at that entire defensive possession. This Rutgers team is playing as if they're the best defensive team in the conference. You got 5 sets of eyes on the ball. You had an awareness of where your man is. There's nothing easy at the rim. You're in position to rebound because you're rotating towards the ball. That is a well-coached team on the floor. And if you're a Rutgers fan, you should be excited about what the product that's on the floor, let alone what you've got to look forward to in the next few years.
Rui back in, Dorson out. Freeman with a one-on-one opportunity here after the foul. Cannot connect. Missed opportunities for Rutgers late in the half at the line.
There's 4 points left on the board there. And all of a sudden, it's a 9-point game. Looks a lot different.
Especially if Koenig comes down and does what Koenig does. 6 seconds remaining until halftime. Koenig has to get rid of it. 2 seconds left. Brown will step in. The deep jumper, no. And halftime is here. And Rutgers will take a 5-point lead over the 15th-ranked Badgers into the locker room. They're looking for their first win against a ranked team since they beat the Badgers on January 11th of 2015. They've held Wisconsin to 20 points, and Rick Pizzo is standing by with Steve Peichel, the head coach of the Scarlet Knights.
Steve, you limit Wisconsin to just about 20% in the first half. What did you do so well defensively?
You know, we mixed it up a little bit. Our guys played with good energy. You know, 2 halves, that's the problem. But, you know, good job mixing things up. They missed some open shots, too, so thankful for that. But we got a whole nother 20 minutes. We got to play great.
Second 20, what adjustments do you make on Ethan Happ?
You know, he's a problem. We may have to double down and from our 4 spot or 5 spot. We'll look at it at halftime here, make some adjustments.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Kevin?
Rick, thank you very much. Steve Peichel and the Scarlet Knights. The good story being written at Madison Square Garden. A 5-point lead at halftime. After the break, we'll send it back to Mike Hall and the crew in Chicago. They'll handle halftime duties on the State Farm Halftime Report. And at halftime, they'll be talking about a 5-point Rutgers lead over 15th-ranked Wisconsin. BTN in New York City, Madison Square Garden, as we get set to start the second half, and Rutgers with a 5-point lead over 15th-ranked Wisconsin. Well, the old song goes, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. And so far, Rutgers is making it big through one half. 5-point lead over Wisconsin.
Yeah, they've done a great job of defending in the half court. Obviously, only giving up 20 points, but you've got to be careful because they've got weapons on that Wisconsin side of the ball, starting with Ethan Happ. He really kept his team in this game, and yes, we know, okay, that's great, 11 points, but he fills up the stat sheet, does a little bit of everything, especially gets steals. Not too often are you going to go behind on a ball reversal pass and get a steal. Well, Ethan Happ does it. As I said, the intangible things that lead to an open break, wide open opportunity, but on the other end, Rutgers has made tough shots, and you've got to make tough shots against one of the best defenses, not only in the conference, but in the country, if you want to stay in the game. The real issue for me has not been the half-court offense, obviously not been the defense, it's making foul shots. This Rutgers team, if you want to win this game, you will have to make foul shots down the stretch.
Rutgers getting it done inside and out, and if you take Ethan Happ's game out, you see what Nigel Hayes and Bronson Koenig have done today. They're a combined 0 for 8. Wisconsin as a team is 1 for 14, just 6 points in that first half, outside of Ethan Happ.
Let's say 15 minutes, and let's revisit those stats.
Showalter with the 3, not going to go. Rebound tipped around inside, still loose, and Vito Brown can't corral it. It'll belong to the Scarlet Knights.
And I like what Steve Pikiell's doing. You can't say it enough about switching up defenses. You got to be careful with Nigel Hayes getting into the middle of that zone, but you're also not able to rebound as well in a zone. You're not boxing an individual man out. You're in a position. You got to go find somebody.
19% from the floor for Wisconsin, a 48% shooting team on the year. Here's Geddes, who had 2 fouls in that first half. They went back and forth. They initially gave a foul to Deshaun Freeman and then changed it and pinned that foul on Geddes as Saad can't get the 3 and Hayes the rebound. So when Geddes found out he had that second foul, he stayed on the bench the rest of the half. Happ against Geddes inside, and a foul is going to be called on Ethan Happ.
Broadway's only a few blocks away. He's looking for a big roll in Hamilton. Little Vladdy-Dotty flop right there. Look, he's too big to flop and make that face. There's an emoji for that.
After Dylan Brooks' flop from the other night, though, there's no acting job that will come close to that one.
Best supporting.
Yes, he could get that one. Saad with the fadeaway. Not going to go, and Brown the rebound.
On the offensive end, Rutgers has to make Wisconsin work. Yes, they're a great defensive team, but you got to make them earn it. I mean, show that you're a great defensive team by making them work. Make them chase.
There's Brown inside with a left hand, not going to get it to go. Good box out down low by Omoruyi. Stalemate through the first 90 seconds of the second half. Poked away. Happ can't keep it in play. Good hands by Ethan Happ, who came into this one second in the league in steals, 3rd in rebounding, 3rd in field goal percentage. Talk about a versatile player.
It's funny, I've heard a lot of people say, well, he's got long arms. He's got great hands. No, he anticipates well. He really is a heady, smart basketball player. Not everybody with long arms is a shot blocker. Not everybody with good hands is a steals leader. Well, Ethan Happ is.
The 3. That's going to go. Brown in there for the rebound. Marie has not hit from long range this year, but that shot clock was fading. Here's Nigel Hayes, and a foul is going to be called on Omoruyi, defending against Hayes. All right, let's check in with Rick Bezo.
Talk with Greg Gard coming out of the half. Disappointed that his team went away from getting the ball inside. Said they spent much of the first half of that first 20 minutes getting the ball to Ethan Happ and down low. That's where they're most effective, but then started to settle for too many three-pointers. Said he was probably okay with 7 or 8, but a half dozen simply came too late in the shot clock. Not enough passes, not enough of that trademark Wisconsin-style offense.
There's Koenig, still off the mark. Happ with the rebound. Wisconsin-style offense stymied by poor shooting. Vito Brown strong on the 3, and the rebound to Nigel Johnson, and then it'll go the other way. A foul going to be called against Ethan Happ.
We talked about what Rutgers needs to do if they want to win this game, and defensively, you've got to pack it in, not give up anything easy in the paint, and force Wisconsin to win with jump shots. And if they're not making their jump shots, you have a chance in this game.
Wisconsin 0 for 4 to start this second half. Rutgers 0 for 3. Second foul on half a moment ago. And a foul on Geddes. And for Geddes, that'll be his second foul. Or rather, his third foul.
And this is where you probably have to get him out of the game. I mean, he's been too valuable. I think rebounding the basketball, defensively, he's been a presence. And on the offensive end, they've actually thrown it inside and given him a chance if he's got a one-on-one to take advantage.
6 points, 4 rebounds sitting down right now for Geddes. As Dorson back on the floor now for Rutgers.
Sometimes stats don't really tell the whole story. They give you what's on the surface, but he's doing a lot more than that for this team.
Entry to Happ against Dorson. They go right at Dorson off the bench. Happ inside. That one partially blocked away by Williams. Happ stays with it. Can't get it to go. Rebound Freeman. Still, nobody has scored. We're 3 minutes into this second half. Down the baseline. Wild reverse attempt for Williams won't go. Koenig now up the floor. Wisconsin on the break. Rutgers back quickly defensively to reorganize. Good pass to Happ against Dorson. Trying to spin, and he banks it home. And the first points of the second half scored by the guy who scored most of the points for Wisconsin in the first, Ethan Happ.
And I think both the Rutgers crowd and the Wisconsin crowd's cheering because he got some points on the board. I'm usually more bored when they're not scoring points, but I tell you, it's been good basketball. You got to credit defense.
Johnson, the long jumper, rattles around, won't go. That threw off the rebound timing on the offensive glass, and Koenig up the floor. Badgers down 3. Here's the skip to Hayes. Toes for a 3. And the rebound ripped down by Johnson. And a foul on the drive. Nigel Johnson going to work his way to the line.
Every time the NCAA tournament rolls around, we start talking about playing in NBA venues or even domes, the dome shooting effect, the NBA venue effect. I think this is a great place to shoot. But the numbers today really wouldn't support my argument. They actually dim everything around the court. The court is bright, but as you see behind the basket, it's dark. So I think it's a great shooting environment. You wouldn't really think so by the numbers, though, tonight.
Third foul on Showalter. That brings Jordan Hill back to the game. Nigel Johnson with 7. 26-22 lead for Rutgers. Deshaun Freeman a moment ago battling inside with Happ. And Freeman's going to go to the bench right now as he took one in the lower back.
Yeah, you catch a hip on the top of your back or lower part of your back or even the top of your hip. Those hip pointers, man, that's brutal.
5 for 5 is Nigel Johnson at the line. Freeman scoreless today as he sits down in obvious pain. And now a little pressure in the backcourt and a foul on Nigel Johnson, his first. If you're the Badgers, John, they're 6 of 33 from the floor. They're 1 of 16 from three-point range. How does Greg Gard light this offense on fire? An offense that over the last 14 games has been red hot, almost 80 points a game.
Well, I think you got to be more aggressive, especially with pressure here. You got to attack that pressure to score, not allow the defense to get set, because right now, defense is set.
Koenig got an open look, and he finally finds the bottom of the net.
I stopped talking because I saw how the defense was set, but 2 guys went to Nigel Hayes and left Bronson Koenig wide open. That's the last guy on the floor you want to allow to get an open shot and find rhythm in his jumper.
First bucket, 1 for 8 from the floor, 1 for 7 from 3, and Candido Sa, battling with Vito Brown, is called for the foul and a timeout in New York.
If you want to get it going, it always seems to start with Ethan Happ. Inside-out basketball is how it goes. Ethan Happ's your inside presence, but if you're going to send 2 guys at the ball with Nigel Hayes, Bronson Koenig will bury you.
Follow the Big Ten Network on Instagram. You'll get the coolest Big Ten sports content, like pictures of New York City.
And Kevin Kugler.
Yeah, absolutely. Follow BTN on Instagram now at Big Ten Network. See the best images and video of the Big Ten. Actually, there will be no pictures of me, I don't believe. So that might be an incentive for you to sign up.
Got to give the people what they want.
So that's certainly it. What the people wanted was a competitive basketball game. They're getting that 27-25, albeit albeit low scoring and some struggling offense here. Wisconsin 2 for 9 in the second half. Rutgers 0 for 5.
Steve Peichel said it needs to be low scoring if they want to stay in this game. I mean, they understand how difficult it is for a young team in Rutgers to score in the half court. I think switching defenses takes a lot of rhythm out of the offense and makes it difficult to find your spots. I think you just got to be careful in the zone with Nigel Hayes in the middle.
Hayes the fadeaway. That one not going to go. Nigel Hayes 0 for 4 from the floor. Johnson from the free throw line. Can't get that to go down, and a foul is going to be called inside. It'll stay on this end. Dorson battling down low for the rebound, and Nigel Hayes commits his first personal foul. Let's check in with Rick Pizzo a little more on Shaq Dorson.
Well, Shaq Dorson is not quite the same man that he was a year ago. As a matter of fact, he's about 55 pounds lighter. That because when Steve Peichel came in, he took over this program and said it may have been one of the worst conditioned basketball programs he had ever seen. Along with his strength trainer, who he brought from Stony Brook with him, this team underwent some grueling workouts, and no one showed a bigger benefit than Dorson. As for his name, he says everybody wants to take credit. His mom, his dad. It was after the more famous Shaquille O'Neal, but at this point, may have to be going by Shaq Light fairly soon.
No kidding. He has lost about half a Shaq. 17 to shoot here for the Badgers as they get it inside the half against Geddes. Geddes back out there on the floor with those 3 fouls. Here's Brown for 3. And Geddes trying for the rebound. Sanders trying to save it off Hat, and he does.
He actually saved it off of Hap, and then it went back off of Corey Sanders, so it's going to stay here.
Stays with Rutgers inside, or with Wisconsin inside.
I mean, this is going to be a great shot of it.
Yep. Got him on the hip.
It's interesting. You talk about Shaq Dorson losing all that weight. You look at Nick Ward, in the conference here, Michigan State, another guy, and obviously Biggie Swanigan. He didn't just lose a half a honey bun. He lost a whole honey bun. You can't say enough about what Biggie Swanigan's done in this conference.
Great spin by Hap to find some room down the baseline. Second time we've seen him put the spin down low.
You cannot lean on Ethan Hap, and that's exactly what you're going to see here. You're going to see Geddes leaning on Ethan Hap. He feels the arm bar, and as you apply more pressure, he knows that's when he can, that's when he can spin off of you. I would almost gap at times. I would apply pressure and then gap at times. Apply pressure, gap, because you can't let him feel you and understand where the defense is, knowing where to spin.
So Geddes picked up his 4th foul on that play. It looked like it was Chom who came over and chopped it. And we're all knotted up at 27 apiece. Wisconsin, 11 of their 27 coming at the foul line. Sanders around the screen. Freeman back out there after that bump in the back. 7 to shoot for Johnson. Johnson attacking. Ball knocked away. Chom with it in the corner. Shot clock winding down, and the air ball caught by Brown. Bounce inside, taken away. Great anticipation by Corey Sanders. The push ahead to Chom, and now Sanders will set up. 6 points for Sanders in this one. Penetration, wild shot, not going to go, and it's out of bounds to the Badgers.
It's just not going to be easy in the second half for Rutgers. If you're executing in the half court, it's going to be incredibly difficult. You can't say enough about what both teams have done. It's 27-27 game. But you've got to think, you know what this Wisconsin team's all about. You know how they close out games. You know how they're comfortable in a tight game and they pull ahead. You got to wonder, is Rutgers really confident in this situation, or are they hoping to get at least a 10-point lead to find a little confidence? I know I would. I'd be wanting at least a 10-point lead to feel like we're in control of this game.
When you feel like momentum is with Wisconsin, but in this game, momentum is kind of hard to gauge.
Yes, well, 27-27 with 13 minutes left, yeah. It's going to go down to the wire. This is a grinder.
Working against Jallo. Double team comes from Freeman. Trice finding Hayes, who tried to get it down low to Hap, and it's tipped out of bounds by Rutgers. It's going to stay with the Badgers. They have 12 to shoot.
And I'll say most good teams are not defined by the teams that they blow out. They're defined by the teams that they can get by. And in this conference, you're going to get a valiant effort from every single team from 1 to 14 in this conference. There's no easy night out. So you're earning every bit of what you win in this conference.
Jallo with the foul. That'll be his third. So some foul trouble inside now for Rutgers. Omoruyi with 3, Jallo with 3, Geddes with 4.
Still feel like the way to cover Ethan Happ is to gap at times. You got to give him space. Force him to pull a jumper in your face.
Hayes working against Freeman. Physical play, and it's taken away. Mike Williams trying to get Rutgers going offensively. Rutgers shooting 32% for the game. Wisconsin 19%. And a foul underneath going against Jordan Hill. That'll be his second.
It's not too often you see a little miscommunication there. No reason for the switch. No reason to have Jordan Hill down in the post against Deshaun Freeman.
So Showalter back in with 3 fouls. Charles Thomas enters the game to give Ethan Happ a breather. You wonder if this will not be timed so that Happ can come right back in after the under-12 timeout. 5 team fouls for Wisconsin, 6 for Rutgers in this one. So we're closing in on some free throw shooting. Freeman one-on-one against Nigel Hayes. Tries to shoot over Hayes, and the rebound saved by Iverson. Settled on that one, John. So 14 to shoot.
Yeah, settled a little bit, but at the same time, I mean, how often have you gone down to 25, 30 seconds and not gotten anything?
Hayes. Thomas with the deep 2, and Charles Thomas hits the 2 to give Wisconsin the lead.
And much like Vito Brown, he can space out and shoot, and especially when you're struggling to get production from your offense, you got to take it where you can get it.
And Rutgers will use the timeout. 11:39 remaining in this second half, and the Badgers have come back to take the 2-point lead, 29-27, and it's Charles Thomas providing the bench spark. Super Saturday on BTN is brought to you in part by State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. Tonight, BTN Super Saturday will move on to hockey. Something else on the main stage. Ohio State, Wisconsin. Big Ten hockey pregame coverage starting at 6:30 Eastern on BTN and BTN to go. But Super Saturday is just, I mean, it's just getting started here in New York City. Over the next couple of years, it'll be back. Minnesota, Ohio State. Next year in 2019, we'll see Maryland and Illinois at Madison Square Garden, at least from a hoop standpoint.
I'll tell you what, this event seems like it gets better and better every year. I think more teams are going to get excited about the opportunity to play here. I wouldn't mind playing here next year because that's where the tournament's going to be. A little warm-up.
Rutgers has not hit a field goal since 2:34 of the first half. Amazing that they're only down 2 against the 15th ranked team. 2 free throws in the half. The only 2 points, 3 to shoot. Williams, tough fadeaway, and he got it to go.
Just might be how it's going to be for the rest of the half. You're going to have to make tough shots and then defend well on this side of the floor if you want to stay in this game. I just feel like Wisconsin will certainly be more comfortable going forward than Rutgers will.
The team comes on Hayes. He'll kick it around. 8 on the shot clock for Dimitri Trice. 5 to shoot as Thomas tries the screen. Hayes with 2 on the shot clock. Tough fadeaway for Hayes, not going to go. And the rebound to Johnson. 2-on-1. Johnson leaves it. Two-handed stop for Omoruyi. And Rutgers back on top.
And you got to see Steve Michael right now, man. He is getting after it on the sidelines, just clapping it up. Loves the effort that he's getting, and those transition baskets that you're going to need if you want to keep this thing closer. At least gain control.
16 of Rutgers' 31 points in the paint today as well. The 3 won't go, and the rebound scooped up by Mike Williams. Halfway through the second half, and the Scarlet Knights with a 2-point lead over the 15th ranked Badgers. Freeman on the drive. to fall. First 2 points for Deshaun Freeman and a timeout taken by Greg Gard and Wisconsin. 33-29 Rutgers by 4.
Rutgers has to capitalize in transition, especially if they can get their crowd back into this game. They're going to need everything they can get. And I'm hungry. It's lunchtime in New York. I'm a big slice of pizza kind of guy. I don't know about you.
Now the Brooklyn Bridge as we welcome you back to New York City. Kevin Kugler alongside John Crispin, Rick Pizzo with us as well. And man who's been on that bridge a lot, the Brooklyn native, Mike Williams with the fadeaway a moment ago. Rutgers with a 4-point lead at 33-29, and Mike Williams is our Motel 6 sixth man, the hometown Brooklyn. Feeling very much at home. 9.5 points per game on the year for Mike Williams as we check in with Rick Pizzo. A little more on Mike Williams.
Oh, Kev, he's not just a Brooklyn native. He's a guy who played here at MSG as part of a rec league game before he was even 10, and yet that wasn't his first trip to MSG. Served some time as a Knicks ball boy during the Latrell Sprewell, Stephon Marbury days, and upon his return to MSG said, what else do you want? Best arena in the world.
And Rutgers making it their home court right now. A 6-point lead, transition bucket, and 8 points for Corey Sanders.
It's not too often you're going to get steals and runouts against Wisconsin, but Rutgers has been able to do it.
4 straight attempts made by Rutgers after going almost 11 minutes, stretching back to the first half without a made bucket.
And I still think the changing defenses has something to do with it. Not only that, they're playing each defense pretty well.
Koenig left it short with the shot clock winding down. We've said that a lot today. Wisconsin's shots have all come, it seems, within 10 seconds of the shot clock expiring. Sanders attacking quickly. And Happ cleans the glass. Now Wisconsin trying to push. Happ on the run. Happ attacking, spinning, and Brown can't handle the pass.
You don't, I should say, it's not often you're going to get this, so you really can't plan a game plan around getting steals and easy baskets in transition, but if you play great defense and get just enough easy baskets, you're going to have a chance to win this game.
Turnover margin closing. Rutgers with a chunk of turnovers in that first half that really didn't come back to hurt them very much. In the first half, 11 turnovers. Johnson, tough jumper there, and Hayes the rebound.
I talk about the switching defenses. I think it takes a lot of courage. After seeing what Wisconsin did to Syracuse in that zone, it takes a lot of courage to zone up, but they've done it and not giving anything easy at the rim. That's the way to play basketball if you're an underdog in a tough environment. This is exactly what Wisconsin wants to do. Good interior passing, but again, you're going to have to earn everything at the stripe if you get anything at the rim.
More from Vito Brown in a 5-point game. Bench coming into play again. Candido Sa back on the floor. Williams returns. Omoruyi back out there. And also Ibrahima Diallo on the floor for Dorset.
Think of the depth that you're seeing from Rutgers compared to what you saw last year. Already, you got more healthy players and no Jonathan Laurent either. I mean, we talked about that in the first half, but I haven't even had to mention it really in the second half because Rutgers has done so well.
A guy who started 11 games this year, had a 15-point game against Drexel earlier in the year. Sanders got a little work with the crossover, and then the long rebound tipped out, and Nigel Hayes keeping it in play for a moment, but it goes back the other way as it hits the sideline. Turnover to Rutgers. Timeout on the floor. 7:47 remaining in the second half. Upset brewing in New York. A lot of spectacle in New York City, and we're seeing a good one today between Wisconsin and Rutgers. Rutgers by 5, 35-30 over the 15th-ranked Badgers. And how has it gotten to this point? Well, our LG signature game summary will tell the tale. Neither team has been shooting particularly well. Wisconsin has run into a stiff Rutgers defense, just 2 of 19 from 3 and 20% overall from the floor.
Yeah, look, if we're going to highlight something, it means we think it's pretty important. And this points in the paint, 20-10 in favor of Rutgers. That jumps out, especially when you look at the firepower. A team like Wisconsin with Ethan Happ, Nigel Hayes down low.
Williams into the paint, and a rejection by Vito Brown. Rutgers fans wanted a goaltend. Wisconsin fans thrilled with Brown soaring in for the block.
From what I can say, I think it was a good play. Defense was in position and took it away right at the rim.
Big moment now for the Badgers, trying to take advantage of their 5th block of the game and turn it into points. The flip to Happ. Happ inside, can't get it to fall, but the foul. Jallo was lurking in there as Happ drove in. The foul on Happ, or the foul on Jallo, rather.
We get another look at it to become experts at officiating. Let's see. Oh, that's clean to me. It's close, but I think it's clean. I like the fact that they didn't call it. It'd be horrible if you gave him a basket on a good defensive play. I think if it's bang, bang, close, let it go.
Initially, the signal was 22. That's why you keep hearing the horn in the background. The scorer's table wants them to confirm who the foul was on. The foul was on Ibrahima Jallo.
That's that distinct Madison Square Garden horn, too.
Yes.
Kind of like a modified foghorn. I don't know what a modified foghorn is like, but it sounds like Madison Square Garden horn.
It sounds like something that may or may not exist.
I'm telling you, just to get back to the foul shooting woes of Ethan Happ, he's got to stop thinking about it. I've been there. I've struggled through shooting woes where you think more and you continue to miss shots. You start to change things technically, and you just continue to miss shots. I think he's just got to, again, repetition. Get in there, shoot. Figure out what works for you. It's easy for me to say, oh, well, get your left hand here and follow through. It's simple. No, well, that might not be what works for you.
7 of 12 now at the line, but he started 5 of 6 in this ball game.
I'll tell you, it's hard to change things when you're now. It's the 3rd year in college. Had a redshirt year, played last year. This is his 3rd year in college. It's hard to change things this far into your career.
Sanders, the crossover, dishes to Williams. Williams, the pull-up with 3 to shoot. And Vito Brown clearing the board and got rid of it before the travel. Now Koenig on the push. Showalter had it poked away by Sanders, and he saves it.
Steve Peichel said Corey Sanders finally buying into the fact that he could be one of the best defending guards in this conference.
Brown thought about the 3. The wraparound to Happ down low. Happ in amongst the trees. Can't get it to go. And the rebound, Sanders. Now Sanders on the push. Trying to turn defense into offense. No, but the tip there by Freeman. And Rutgers starting to feel it. Up 7 with 6 minutes to play. Brown. Halfway down, it pops up. Showalter. Second chance. Hill. Lost it in traffic. Dorson with the takeaway and a foul. Little frustration from Jordan Hill as Dorson gets the rip. And we march to the other end where it'll be Rutgers ball.
So yesterday we did BTN Live, and Steve Peichel made a comment where he said, look, it's great to be playing in this environment. You know, I do like what we've been able to do at home at the rack, and I almost wish we'd play in this Wisconsin team there. But how about the crowd getting involved in this game? And I think you've got to give people something to cheer about first. So often I hear, especially about Penn State, you know, why don't people come to the games? Well, you got to ask the question, why should they first? Why should you come to see us play? Why should you cheer for Rutgers? Why should you take the time to come out here to Madison Square Garden? They're answering that right now.
12 to shoot for Sanders. 7 second-half turnovers for Wisconsin, 14 for the game. Freeman can't corral that. 2 to shoot. Freeman, leaner. That's an air ball caught by Showalter. It's Wisconsin ball. Can the Badgers find some offense? Nigel Hayes has it ripped away.
It's Corey Sanders again. And if you're Steve Peichel and the staff, you have to be pleased with the way he's responded to some early season struggles, especially on the defensive end. He's gotten his hand on 2 deflections here in the last couple possessions.
Showalter fakes the 3 and then lost the handle off Johnson. It'll stay with the Badgers. Here comes Geddes back into the game now for Rutgers with those 4 fouls.
And at this point, 5 minutes left, you can live. I mean, you've lived without him for the last few minutes, so you can live without him if he does pick up that 5th foul. What you can't live with, excuse me, is Ethan Happ getting an easy layup.
Koenig off the screen for 3. He has been off the mark all day long. 1 for 10 from the floor. Second chance, though. Koenig, nowhere to go with it. Trice, guarded three, not good. Rebound, Hayes, third chance for the Badgers. Half down low against Geddes, trying to move the big man. Here's Hayes on the penetration and a foul. The foul on the pass, so it'll be a 1-and-1. It goes on Deshaun Freeman.
It's tough. I mean, a lot of Rutgers fans probably watching this game and saying, get a rebound, get a rebound. It's hard to rebound on some long shots. Long shots lead to long rebounds, and guards really have to stay in the play if you want to come up with that loose ball. I think of long rebounds more as 50-50 balls, less as defensive rebounding opportunities. Long rebounds difficult. It's easy for offensive guards to pick those up.
Nigel Hayes just 2 points today. You saw the average. He's been in doubles 6 of the last 7 games. And over the last 14 games, averaging 15 points per game.
He's not getting a ton of looks either. It's not like he's missing a ton of shots. He just hasn't had a ton of looks. And
inside with a bucket and a foul.
yet again, that's the 4th consecutive offensive rebound, second chance opportunity, and it's inexcusable to get it on a foul shot.
What a moment, though, for Wisconsin. Huge lift for the Badgers.
As I said before, this Wisconsin team is comfortable in tight situations.
Free throw, though, off the mark. 5-point game, 4:26 to go.
And for Rutgers, you got 4:25 now left to go. You have to play to win this game. You cannot play to continue to hold this lead because, Wisconsin will beat you.
Timeout taken by Rutgers in a 5-point game with 4:21 to go.
5-point game out there in New York with 4.5 minutes to go. We'll get you back out for that in just a sec. But first, I'm Mike Hall reminding you to stay where you are. We got a great game coming your way next. It's Maryland and Minnesota. You might remember last year when Minnesota couldn't win a game in more than 2 months. They played Maryland when they were ranked number 6, and they upset them. What will happen this year? We'll find out shortly. That game comes up next here on BTN. But for now, back out to Kevin, John, and Rick. Guys?
Mike Hall, thank you very much. Maryland, 5 straight wins going into that one, tied for the longest streak in the Big Ten. Purdue, they've won 6 of their first 8 Big Ten games, first time in several years. And we talk about the story. It will continue to be great. First 6-2 start for Northwestern since 1943-44.
Who doesn't remember that 43-44 squad?
It was a great moment. None of their games that year were on BTN.
That's back when they called them Cagers and stuff like that. The Cagers of Northwestern.
The writing much more eloquent in that time than the broadcasting is today.
Present company excluded?
Included. I looked right at you. Shot clock winding down. Johnson, the fadeaway, got it to go. The deep 2 for Nigel Johnson.
A little too early to be a dagger, but those shots just keep your confidence alive. You continue to believe that you could win this game if you make big-time shots. The shot clock running down.
Pritzel rotates it around to Showalter. Down low, the kick into the corner. Here's Pritzel off the bench for a 3. Won't go. Wisconsin 2 for 23 from 3-point land.
I mean, it's hard to believe because Wisconsin has good shooters, but there are times where they really struggle when they're forced to be a jump shooting team.
Only Happ with 17 in double figures. Koenig with 3. Hayes with 2. The foul called against Wisconsin.
These are daggers more so for the defense because you execute exactly what you want to do defensively for almost 30 seconds. Actually, about 30 seconds. You contest to the level of the ball. You play great defense, but talented offensive players make tough shots.
7th team foul a moment ago means free throws for Rutgers. This is not necessarily their strong suit. Last in the conference this year in free throw shooting, but C.J. Geddes hits the front end of the 1-and-1. The last win against a ranked team, it came January 11th, 2 years ago against the Badgers of Wisconsin. And Geddes hits them both. Huge free throws. Rutgers by 9, 41-32 with 3:20 to go. Largest lead of the game for either team. Happ inside. inside. He's got 19.
Ethan Happ does such a good job screening, reading the defense before he rolls. It's not just a dive to the basket. He actually read the defense, understood where the help was coming from, avoided the charge as Mike Williams stepped up. Now Rutgers has to work for a good shot. You can't wait too long to be aggressive.
Sanders with the three. Won't go. Rebound. Pritzel battling for it, and the tie-up keeps it on this end of the floor. Williams and Pritzel got tangled up, and it's going to stay with Rutgers.
That was a physical tie-up. I want to see a better look at it. Yeah, I guess it's still a loose ball. It's nobody's ball. No one's really got position. I think Pritzel had the inside position, but the ball was loose.
There's Sanders around the screen. 2:35 for Rutgers to get a huge upset. Sanders rejected by Happ.
What I said about having long arms doesn't make you a great shot blocker. Well, yeah, the long arms might have helped on this play, but ultimately it's the timing. He keeps his hands off the offensive player. He doesn't hand check. Keeps his hands up ready to take that shot away. One thing shot blockers do very well, they don't hand check. Why? Because they got to have their hands up to block a shot.
6 to shoot for Sanders. Just 4 of 15 today for Sanders. He's 5 of 26 this year against the Badgers, and that's a shot clock violation. Good defense by Wisconsin. 2:13 remaining in the second half. And go back a little bit earlier for our Motorist Insurance Group drive to the hoop, and it came from Ethan Happ.
It came from Ethan Happ. He's going to identify Mike Williams coming up, looking to take that charge. And Wisconsin hasn't had anything easy, not just in this second half, but in the entire game.
Scarlet Knights extend the defense a little bit, force Wisconsin to use a little shot clock, bringing it up the floor. Here's Happ inside again, working against Geddes, and Happ finds the range once more. We've got a 5-point game. Timeout Badgers. 1:53 remaining in the second half. A fantastic finish coming at the Garden. January 11th, 2015. The Rutgers Scarlet Knights at home against the Badgers at the rack. And it was Rutgers able to find the huge win. It was a court-storming kind of win. 67-62 over the 4th-ranked Badgers.
Yeah, that's a justifiable court storm. That was a pretty good Wisconsin team, if I'm remembering right. I think they ended up in the Final Four.
I believe you are correct. Rutgers trying to close the deal here. Each team with 1 timeout left. Ethan Happ now with 21 points, and now Wisconsin will extend their defense off the timeout.
You extend your defense, but you also have to be careful not to give up anything easy.
And inside, there's the easy, but a foul on Hayes, keeping Candido Sa from flushing that one.
And this is where you also have to be careful. If you're going to go up, you better make the layup, because this team does not shoot their foul shots very well, but I like the aggressiveness, throwing ahead, trusting your player to make a play. Nigel Hayes almost made a great play on that.
Rutgers at 70% today. Huge step up from where they've been. 7 of 10 at the line. Sa on the year 44%. Can't hit that one.
Pressure makes the pipes burst, and they're going to have to earn it. They'll feel a little bit of it today. You have an opportunity to knock off one of the best teams in this conference, one of the better teams in the country, at Madison Square Garden in front of a lot of good Rutgers fans that have come out to support them.
Sa misses in both half the rebound. When you're facing a team like Rutgers that struggles from the free throw line, does that change what Greg Gard wants to do from a fouling strategy?
I think you foul the right guys. I mean, I also think you can pressure more and give up that potential layup so long as you can foul, because they only took about 5 seconds off the shot clock and gave the ball right back. And there's Ethan Happ doing what he does, keeping his team in this game.
23 of the 38 for the Badgers. Freeman to the other end. He's fouled by Nigel Hayes, and that'll be number 3 on Hayes.
I'm kind of wondering if this is the strategy. They'll say, hey, force them to throw ahead, give them an opportunity, and make them earn it at the foul line, because we're comfortable if we can get the ball back quickly. I feel like as Wisconsin, we can score if we get it to Ethan Happ down low.
And one more free throw for Freeman. And Rutgers struggling at the line again.
The issue I have with C.J. Geddes back in the game, he's got 4 fouls. I guess if he picks up a 5th with a $119, you're okay. But I'd consider fouling Ethan Happ and not giving him anything easy.
Freeman good on the second.
Challenge there, excuse me, challenge there. You just don't want to stop the clock.
Koenig working it down low. Showalter, the reverse layup falls. 2-point game.
Now, if you're Wisconsin, you can trust your defense. No reason to pressure. The Badger fans in it.
Everybody's standing in the Garden, and a timeout taken by Rutgers. Their final timeout used with 56.2 seconds in a 2-point game. Sanders attacks, throws it up, no. The put back, Sanders got it. With 1 second left. 50 seconds to play. Koenig off the screen for the lead. He does it again. Bronson Koenig, ice one in the vein. Well, this is certainly a familiar situation for both of these teams this year, but it's been Ethan Happ who has been the go-to guy today for the Badgers.
Yeah, he's been the go-to guy, but really it's been the last few minutes where this team has turned up that level of urgency. They're playing with a sense of urgency, understanding that we got a minute to win this basketball game. I go back to that one possession, though, where it was 3 offensive rebounds that led to a foul shot that led to a 4th offensive rebound, put back and one opportunity for Ethan Happ. The game certainly changed a bit at that moment.
15 on the shot clock for Rutgers with a 2-point lead. Sanders on the drive to the rim. What a shot by Corey Sanders. 37 seconds to go. 2-possession game. Koenig for 3. Again, he comes through in the clutch.
But you saw the breakdown defensively. Miscommunication leads to a wide-open shot for probably the last guy you want to give a wide-open shot in the closing minutes of a game. Bronson Koenig comes off the screen, knocks it down, but on the other end, this phenomenal finish. Corey Sanders is just putting a stamp on this conference. But you see the breakdown here, bottom of your screen. Nobody goes with the most lethal late-game shooter in the conference, shoot in the country, and Bronson Koenig, and he gets it to go.
He had been ice cold all day, and then when it gets to the crunch, Bronson Koenig does what he does so well, hits threes. Came in 10 of 19 from 3 in the final 5 minutes in overtime this year.
How about 55+% from 3 in the last 5 minutes of games over the last 2 years? That's incredible. I mean, that's just on another level. So you have to credit Bronson Koenig. In this country, or in this city, I should say, they say coffee's for closers. He's got ice water now. He's cold brew coffee, man. He's like iced coffee. The kid's been incredible to close out games.
So what do you do now if you're Wisconsin defensively against a team that has really struggled all year long at the foul line? You've got a 2.4-second differential. Do you foul right away?
I think you got to be careful. I think you trust your defense for a second, put a little bit of pressure on them, see if they throw it away. This is a team that's not really comfortable like you are in Wisconsin. Give them a few seconds to maybe force a turnover and then get back, foul the right guy.
1-point ball game, 32.4 seconds to go. I'd say Super Saturday's off to a pretty good start.
And I think you have the right guy on the ball. If you get an opportunity to trap in the corner, you trap hard with Ethan Happ, who, as I said, has great hands, anticipates very well. You can also trust him to make good decisions.
Sanders almost loses it, and he does! Showalter with a steal. Here's Hayes. Rotates Koenig for 3. And the rebound, Nigel Johnson. Now Wisconsin's got to get some work done, and they foul with 20.3 seconds to go.
Wow.
Holy cow, you got the look you wanted, and Koenig just short.
You got exactly what you wanted. You got the steal that you wanted and needed. Breakdown, throwing that ball in. You got it into the hands of the right guy. Bronson Koenig just couldn't get it to go. Nigel Johnson comes down with a rebound. Now, if you're Rutgers, you got to settle in. You got to take a breath. Calm down a bit. Big foul shots.
Koenig was set up behind the NBA three-point line. That ball was just short as Johnson misses. 1-point game.
You cannot say enough about foul shooting in close games. Not to mention low-scoring games, 44-43. Nigel Johnson gets the second to go. 2-point lead for the Scarlet Knights.
Koenig now for Wisconsin. 13 seconds and counting in a 2-point game. Koenig driving, rejected. Deshaun Freeman swooping in for the swat.
Yeah, you want to be careful not to foul, but you want to foul if you're going to give up a wide open layup. Steve Biko getting doubled to get back into the coaching box.
7.5 seconds to go. Koenig bounces it down to Hayes, and it's knocked out of bounds.
Deshaun Freeman just learned something right there. He's got to watch. You cannot anticipate where Nigel Hayes is going to go because Nigel Hayes has the option to make the read and just get open. However, he's got to get open.
Here's Happ. 4 seconds. Happ down the baseline. We're tied at 45. Johnson from half court for the win. And we're going to overtime in the Garden.
Ethan Happ. You've got to know Ethan Happ's going to the basket. If I'm C.J. Geddes, I have no problem fouling Ethan Happ, making him earn a victory or earn overtime from the foul line. But you got to do it in the point where you don't allow him to get a shot up. Wow. Ethan Happ is just, he single-handedly kept his team in the game. What's he got, 25 points right now?
He does. 25 for Ethan Happ. 14 in the second half.
You know, and this is a great, you almost faking the handoff. You get just enough space to make a play. And if you're C.J. Geddes, you got to force him to the help. Force him to the middle. Do not allow him to go where you do not have help on the baseline. And Ethan Happ, he'll pump fake you till you get up in the air, and he finishes so well around the basket.
My goodness, what a finish. And now we've got more basketball. Super Saturday gets supersized.
There's a whole crew of people, and I say crew of people meaning they're ready to get everyone the heck out of this arena so they can set up the ice. Got to get this ice ready.
Now, what does this game mean in this conference today? Well, certainly it means a big lift for Rutgers as they're trying to build a program for Wisconsin. He's trying to stay atop the standings right now.
Yeah, they're trying to stay atop the standings in a conference that is just all over the place. I think the competitiveness, the parity in this conference is second to none throughout the country. The parity rivals that of the NCAA tournament. We usually use a word like parity and RPI and strength of schedule, all that. That's usually reserved for talks in March. Well, right now, parity is just run amok in the Big Ten, and that's why it's going to be so crazy. It's going to be one heck of a finish and one heck of a Big Ten conference tournament. Can parity run amok?
I think parity can run amok. Yeah, maybe you just let it run amok.
It did. You know it's overtime when our stat sheets aren't getting printed out right. We're running out of ink in the printer.
The toner has run dry.
Oh, toner,
today.
I'm sorry.
I want to use the proper terminology, then you get the printer guys who are tweeting at you. Hey, it's toner. 45 apiece as overtime begins in the Garden. Johnson, Koenig, and Wisconsin back from the brink to send this one to extra minutes. Hayes inside with a left hand, and Nigel Hayes' first field goal of the game comes in overtime.
I'm going to be interested to see what Rutgers does defensively. Do they continue to switch things up, or do they stick with the man-to-man and try to win this game outright?
Geddes against Happ. Sanders, the three. Down for Sanders.
We've seen more scoring in the last 4 minutes of this game than we saw in the first 36.
13 for Sanders, 1-point lead Rutgers. Ethan Happ working baseline. Geddes with the rejection. Freeman with the takeaway.
And Geddes did a great job just walling up, not trying to be a shot blocker, not trying to beat Ethan Happ to the spot, not going for those pump fakes. You're going to get about 5 of them from Ethan Happ. Just wall up.
Geddes now to work against Happ. Trying to barrel his way in. Happ holds his ground, and that's going to be a double dribble. The turnover back to Wisconsin with 3:29 to go in overtime.
I understand CJ Geddes is a little frustrated. He also didn't get any help. And if you're a guard and your big guys get down, you've got to get down there and help him out. And there it is. He knows exactly what he did. Come on, man. That's a my bad moment.
Right in the middle of all eyes. Hard to get away with that one. Spinning baseline against Dorson. Good, and a foul!
That's the gap that I talk about. You've got to be able to gap Ethan Happ. When he feels contact, he spins it. There he feels the contact, and he spins off. I mean, that is just a well-trained post-basketball player in Ethan Happ. But again, gap so he doesn't feel the contact.
Showalter scooping in, kept it alive for Hayes. Badgers with another offensive possession up one.
And right now, the Rutgers Scarlet Knight, they have to lock down and get good body language to finish out this game. They've got a little frustrated with some of these second-chance opportunities and easy baskets on the other end.
Koenig trying to spin around Johnson, who holds his ground. 14 offensive rebounds for Wisconsin. Hayes at the elbow. Here's Showalter on the curled. Oh, what a dunk down the half. Sanders now to work, and a foul is going to be called. Showalter with his 4th personal foul.
And second chance opportunities have kept this team in the game, and here is yet another one. Showalter getting after it, and it leads to a bucket. Great pass, great dish by Zach Showalter, who's really known to be the glue guy, but he does everything really well for you.
He leads the team assist to turnover ratio, and man, that was as pretty a pass as you're going to see. And all kinds of traffic.
And I think what he does well is he's one of the most aggressive guys on the team. He's always trying to make something happen on both ends of the floor.
Sanders, 2 good free throws for a team that struggles at the line. He's got 15. A 1-point game again at the Garden.
Hard to believe it took us overtime to get into the 50s. It's been a great defensive matchup for both teams.
With some late offense providing a spark. Sanders with all 5 Rutgers points in the OT. Here's Hayes in a 1-point game. Happ again! And Happ roaming free. He's got 31.
It's hard to believe that you lose sight of Ethan Happ. He's got 31 points, 31 out of his team's 53. How do you lose Ethan Happ?
Johnson on the attack. No. Rebound swatted out, but it's going to be Williams who picks it up. And then a foul on Showalter, and he's gone.
Every 50-50 ball means the world, and not an egregious foul. I'd happily play on with that one. That's one of those, you foul a guy out on that type of foul. That's a tough one, especially a guy who's made some really big plays down the stretch. But that's one of those ones that, now I say this if I was an official, I'd be a terrible official. But if the ball then goes to a Rutgers player, I just say play on, right? You just play on. No advantage gained there. You barely touched the guy. But Mike Williams now with an opportunity with Zach Showalter out of the game to knock down some fast shots, cut into this lead. They get a 1-point ball game.
4 points, 5 rebounds for Showalter as he leaves. Dimitri Trice on the floor. 3-point ball game. Mike Williams, one of the better free throw shooters on this Rutgers team, going to the line.
Well, and if you think of what Wisconsin's doing right now, minute 54 left, they've got 3 ball handlers on the floor. Understanding you're probably going to get more pressure from the Rutgers defense. You've got 3 ball handlers in Hill, Trice, and Bronson Koenig.
Williams at 73% on the year as Showalter's day comes to a close.
Scratch that. Let me say 5 ball handlers.
5?
You've got Nigel Hayes and Ethan Happ, who have shown us that they can handle the ball just as well as any guard here.
Williams with 7. And a 53-52 ball game.
This is where you have to trust your defense. You're going to extend pressure a little bit, but you cannot allow Wisconsin to get anything easy at the rim.
Wisconsin in the overtime has been working it inside the half. 8 points in the paint in overtime.
And they've done a good job of getting the defense extended, getting the ball right inside. If you can get it to Nigel Hayes, he's going to have you beat.
There he is in the paint again. Bucket! And he'll go to the line for one more.
Right on cue, you saw the inside of that zone, and that's why I said it takes a lot of courage to play zone against this team compared to, considering, I should say, what they did to Syracuse. Nigel Hayes just works the middle of that zone probably better than anybody else I've seen in the country. Not just because of what he can do passing the ball, but he reads the defense well, slides right to the open spot. A great feed from Ethan Happ.
6 points, 10 rebounds today for Nigel Hayes. And now it's a two-possession game in favor of the Badgers. Geddes back in for Jallo.
And Geddes is in, definitely a better offensive player. You can play through him in the post, but I think if you're Rutgers, you got to play with a little more urgency at this point. You got to look to attack, knowing that Wisconsin defense is going to just settle in.
Sanders now. On the drive, the dish down to Geddes, and Geddes took an extra step at travel. Huge turnover with 1:16 to go in the overtime.
That's a tough one. I mean, really close to not being a travel. He kind of catches it. Let's see, here it is, one. Yeah, he travels. Good call. That's tough for a big guy, getting the catch in a position where he's not really ready or even able to make a play. I want to be careful of this.
About 1 minute remaining in the overtime. Hayes finding Hill, who figures out where Happ is and gets him the ball and a foul. Not hard to find Happ. He's been along that baseline on every offensive possession.
He really hasn't moved too much. And how many pump fakes does he take that everyone goes for? I think that's a stat we should keep for Ethan Happ. We got great shots of this. That's what you get. You do something at a pro arena, you got about 50 cameras in here.
And Happ with 32 points. The player of the week this week after his huge game against Minnesota where he went 28-12. He says, oh yeah, you like that? How about this?
32 points is one thing. Let's see what he does here before I say the next comment. 32 points out of 57 is what's even more remarkable.
And 21 in the second half and overtime. And a timeout used with 51 seconds to go for Rutgers. Their last time out of the overtime. So 57-52 with 51 seconds to go. And you may, if you're just joining us and wondering how in the world is this game an overtime game? Well, here's how we got to this point, a 5-point game in the OT.
Look, this Rutgers team has been great keeping this thing alive, but ultimately Wisconsin, you knew they were going to do this. They would fight, stay in this game. Wisconsin just did whatever they could do, especially relying on Ethan Happ, to stay in this game, to get this thing into overtime, and so far it's been all Wisconsin.
So 57-52, and for Wisconsin, overtime is where they thrive. They've won 6 straight overtime games, and they're closing in on that here. But if you're Rutgers, 5 points down, 51 seconds to go, what are you looking for?
Well, you're looking to obviously score quickly. You want to attack the basket if you can, get to the foul line and make some foul shots. The tough thing is, you know you're not the best foul shooting team, but that can't change what you do offensively. You've got to take the first opportunity to attack and set up your defense.
Wisconsin 5 of 6 in the floor in overtime, trying to hang on to a share of that top spot with Maryland, who comes up in just a bit here on BTN. Rutgers trying to get their second conference win in the last 3 outings. They're going to need a little work offensively to get that done. And Ethan Happ now 32 points, a career high. He's made 12 field goals, 8 of 16 at the free throw line, and you see the numbers for Happ and the rest of the team.
I feel badly doing that, the rest of the team, but it's a great way to illustrate, as you hear the horn go off inadvertently, it's a great way to illustrate how key he's been. And clearly his teammates have done a great job finding him.
That 28-point performance we mentioned earlier against Minnesota was a career high, now 32 today. As Johnson with the step back jumper, and it falls. Big bucket for Nigel Johnson to make it a 3-point game.
Well, they did it pretty quickly. Not a ton of time off the clock. And got a chance to set up defense. I would not wait too long. I want to foul him.
Well, Koenig's the guy you had to foul, an 88% free throw shooter.
As I said, you want to attack quickly, and it may be a tough shot, but you got to get something at the rim, especially when it's a multiple possession game. 8 shots obviously let you set up your defense. But again, this is a team that is incredibly comfortable in tight situations, and I don't know, if I'm a betting man, I feel like Bronson Koenig's going to get these to go.
13 points for Johnson. Koenig with 6, and there's the first. It's not been certainly the best game for Bronson Koenig by any measure. 2 of 13 from the floor, 2 of 10 from 3, but not too many guys you'd rather have at the line in a clutch situation than Bronson Koenig.
No, I mean, not only at the line, he makes great decisions. He handles the ball well, which means he can keep the ball in his hands and make them foul him.
Sanders whipped by Happ. Just plucked it out of his hands. What a play by Ethan Happ that may seal it for Wisconsin.
I've said it before, Ethan Happ doing such a good job keeping his hands ready to make a play. Look at the hands, wide up in the air. I'm just straight up in the air, making it impossible to make that pass. Can't say enough about the night, or the day, I should say, that Ethan Happ's had. I can read off statistics. It doesn't tell the whole story. Yes, he's had a great game. Yes, he does a little bit of everything. He's had 3 steals in the first half. Keeping his team in a game when they couldn't score. They had 20 points at the half, if I'm remembering correctly. He's kept this team in the game, but you also have to credit teammates who understand when you're not getting easy baskets, find the guy who's able to make something happen, and that's been Ethan Happ.
It's a 25-20 Rutgers lead at halftime. Koenig stretching it to a 6-point game.
And for Bronson Koenig, it doesn't matter what he did from the first minute to the 30th minute. He's really finished strong, which is what he always does.
7-point Badger lead. Freeman, the deep 3, not going to go. Rebound kicked out to Nigel Hayes, and the Badgers are going to dodge a big bullet here at Madison Square Garden. Rutgers had him on the ropes, but Wisconsin came back to get the late knockout. 61-54, the final in overtime.
It seems to be business as usual, right? This Wisconsin team in a close game situation against a team like Rutgers, who we've said they're going to compete against everybody in this conference. They've got size, they've got depth, they've got the potential with good guard play, and they're a very well-coached team. But Wisconsin, comfortable as they could possibly be in a close game situation, doesn't hurt to have guys like Ethan Happ, Nigel Hayes, and Bronson Koenig, the ice water of all ice waters, on the floor in late game situations.
7 straight overtime games won by the Wisconsin Badgers. A team that gets into overtime and knows how to close, and that's what Wisconsin was able to do. They worked their way into overtime, and then they were able to get it done. 61-54, the final in overtime. Rick Pizzo is standing by with the head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers, Greg Gard.
Well, Greg, we have to start with Ethan Happ with an absolutely singular performance. How do you put into words what he did for you guys tonight on both ends of the floor?
Well, he bailed us out when we weren't had a hard time finding the basket. Hard might be a nice word to use. Kept looking at the stat sheet saying, I don't know how it can get any worse, but credit to our guys. They just kept battling, didn't give in when absolutely nothing was going our way. We were good enough defensively to be able to hang. If it wasn't for our defense, we would have never had a chance there at the end.
Even the guys who struggled. Bronson Koenig hits a big 3 late. Nigel did not have a field goal until overtime, then played by far his best basketball of the game. What does it mean to have that kind of veteran leadership and the guys that have been through all of these battles?
Well, you got to stick with them. You know, when Bronson was 1 for whatever what he was from the floor, you just had to trust that eventually he was going to get the ball to go in. He's too good of a shooter, too good of a player. been in these situations before. So stick with them, have confidence in them, and they obviously delivered.
Greg, we appreciate the time. Congrats on a tough-fought win.
All right, thanks, Rick.
Kev?
All right, Rick, thank you very much. Once again, our final score in overtime, Wisconsin 61, Rutgers 54. Don't forget our coverage of Super Saturday from Madison Square Garden picks back up at 6:30 tonight with our hockey pregame show. The proceeding has been an exclusive presentation of the Big Ten Network. Now, let's send it to Minneapolis.